So this is the honey sweetener jar I made. I put myself in it so that people could be nicer to me and I could receive more favor in my endeavors. Um, I melted a white candle for purity, because that's another thing that I was working towards, and a pink candle. My pink candle was a little taller than my white candle, but they were self-standing candles. They did not have any glass around them like these down here. They were just like a candle, you know, wax and a wick. That's it. They were about, my pink candle was about that tall, my white candle was about that tall. And they melted down about the same time, at the same speed, honestly. I dressed them with lavender, rose, and a few other herbs. So I make a yoni steam, and I dressed it with many of the herbs that were in my yoni steam. I tried to exclude a few, but I'm sure dust still got on there. So pretty much the all yoni steam mix is what I dressed my candles in, which is, you know, a very feminine, activated, feminine care, you know, product. So I think it will inflict a lot of love, a lot of feminine energy, which is what I was going for. I chose a pink candle instead of a red because I'm trying to evoke like a soft love, like a gentle love. That's the love that I want to embark on for myself, and the love that I want to receive back in my environment and in the world. And just love in general. So yeah, I chose a pink candle and a white candle, and I let it burn down, and this is my final result. In my jar, I have honey. So I have a honey that I just bought, all raw honey, like very, like the smooth texture. And I also had a honey jar with honey in it that I had let ferment, and so it was like really grainy, and it looked like I had sugar in my honey. And I put both of them in there because, you know, it seemed very sweet, like a sweet thing to do. Like, whoa, it's so sweet, I don't even want to eat it. And I also have orange peels in there. Orange peels are very sweet, citrusy, and they honestly made it smell very good. Like once I tore up my, I peeled an orange and then ripped up the peel into little smaller pieces so they would fit in my jar, not too small, not too big. And I poured in my honey, but before I did all that, I wrote my petition. On my petition, I put what I hope to gain. A lot of my statements were I am, I will receive, people are this towards me, those type of statements. I didn't write anything on there that I didn't want to occur, so except for one thing. The one thing at the end I wrote, I will not receive, or something to that effect. But throughout my whole petition, it was I am statements, positivity. There were no backward statements. I will not, I cannot, none of that. I didn't write any of that. So everything was a very I will, I can, I do, I have, I receive. So I put my petition in there. Make sure you're folding the pages once you fold it to fit into your jar. I folded the sheets into myself. So I was folding like into myself. Never fold against yourself unless you're trying to repel that energy. Whatever you wrote on there, you want it to go away. That's when you fold out. If you want these energies to come into yourself, you'll fold in. So I folded my petition inward towards my body, and I put it into my jar. I also took a picture of myself, a printed picture, a picture that I had in my album that I didn't really have use for anymore. I, you know, sketched out my face on it, not sketched out, like drew, but I cut out my face in the picture, and I put the face of the picture in there. I try not to make sure that you don't get anyone else's articles. Like you don't want, if you can, at your best, you don't want other people's clothing in your picture, or the cutting that you have of your for your picture. No one else's hair, no one else's skin. So make sure it's just you. It could be your hair, your face, it could even be your whole body, but you want to just try to exclude other people from the picture unless they are involved in the petition that you wrote, and the reasoning for you making your jar. So in here I have, like I said, my orange peels, my honey, my picture of myself. Make sure I exclude other people who are not in my petition. And I also added some lavender because I'm trying to soften my love, sweeten my love. And I added rose because I do want it to be passionate. I do want my love to be passionate. So those are the 5 things that I put inside my honey jar. I did a lot of chanting, a ton of chanting. I probably chanted for an hour. Something short that I resonated with as I was making my honey jar. And I chanted it the rest of the time where I was getting things ready. So by getting things ready, I mean, I chanted it while I was dressing my candle, putting the finishing touches on my jar. Also with my jar, I made sure that I took off the label. So this was a jar that I got from Kroger. It was like a blackberry jam jar. I made sure I took the label off, cleaned the jar, cleaned the inside. It did have a stamp on the top that was like a stamp that was like non-removable. So I blacked it out with a black marker. Made sure that there was no other labelings visible on my jar. And yeah, set my chants, set my intentions for this ritual, set my intentions for the outcome of this jar. I said here, I gazed in the flame. Yeah, I just spent time with it, communed with it. I'm sure it went through. My candles burned all the way down. I did have to come and save my candle for a second because the wick was starting to ignite the wax in the surrounding area, in which I did not blow it out. So you don't want to blow it out. I kind of just fiddled with it a little bit, trying to keep it up and out of the wax, and then eventually died. So but it did burn all the way down. As you can see, there's no bottom of the candle at all. It's like just a spot where it was and it burned away. So I think it went really well. I think it went through. I think, you know, everything, my petition went through. Also at the end, well, not at the end, but before I lit it, like I said, I was chanting. So the chant that I had, or that came to mind that resonated with me, I put it up under here. That's just like a second petition to myself. So my original petition of what I want, or my intentions for the jar, are inside here, folded into me. And just my ritual or my chant that I came and resonated with, and also added a little more intention to my jar, I folded that into me and put it under my jar. And as you can probably see this little piece of paper right there. It's a little piece of paper. I usually use like this type of paper. Like, it's kind of like parchment. It's kind of thin, very thin actually. And I just write it out. I write it out in my handwriting. And at the end, I put my whole name. Sometimes I use capital letters, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it might be all lowercase, no spaces. And yeah, that's pretty much how I get it done. And this is how I made my sweetener jar. You might find it sweetener or honey jar. And I've heard that you could put other people in them and make them sweet to you. I tried that one time. I like the results. The more immediate results I enjoyed, but I did not like the long-term results. So yeah, I kind of have steered away from putting people inside my jar. I usually just put myself in there and then other people are sweet to me. The last time I did this, I was in transitioning from a job to another job. I was very much at a very low place, kind of. And I made the jar and I put a lot of intention. I was way more vain in my first petition than I was this one. This was a very wholesome petition. Things I wanted for my spirit, things I wanted for my relationships and for my my understanding to grow. So this one was very, you know, like spiritually intended, whereas my first one was very much vain. Like I was like I want beauty. Everybody's gonna think I'm beautiful. People are gonna give me their money. I was going all in, and I was very clear in my intention, and I didn't mean it in any, you know, ill intent, but these are the things I wanted, and in that way, you know, that might have come across very vain, and it was. I would admit that it was a very vain, but I received all those things nevertheless. Like people were giving me their money without my asking. Business was up. I found a lot of favor with my first honey jar. So much favor that I decided to light it again, and it burned up. It caught a flame. It caught a fire. I'll show you. This is my honey jar. It caught a flame, caught a fire, and yeah, it's just been sitting there ever since. I don't really know what to do with it. I'm going to do some research about, you know, figuring out what to do with your I guess, spells or whatever after you cast them. But yeah, I just kind of let that one stay there. Excuse me. But yeah, this is how I made my honey and sweetener jar. So yeah, I put the second one through and it burned up. And I talked to my friend. She said that means it really went through. So I think it really did. I'm not really sure. But that was also a while ago. So I decided to refresh it and do another one today, which I am very happy about because I was able to put so much intention into it. I was able to put so much of my hands on everything. I even came back and put my thumbprint into the wet wax. And, you know, that was just, I feel like it sealed it and let it know it was for me, going to me, for me. So yeah, it's not much that you need. You probably could put other things in there depending on what you're trying to gain or get access to. But yeah, I did a meditation and I think this is, what is this? Adventuring. Both of them are the same. And I picked them blindly out of my crystal bag. So I guess it was meant for me to have an adventure in a way. I think this is adventuring. I hope I'm not telling you guys wrong. Let's see. I don't know. I'll look it up, but I feel like I'm right when I say adventuring. I feel like I'm right. It looks so beautiful. But yeah, I just put my hand in there in the dark before I started meditating. And I didn't even know until now that I got both adventuring. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, voila, that's it. Sweetener jar 101, honey jar 101.